Good afternoon. It is March 7th, 2023. We're going to do a really quick update. As you can see from our sunspot map, we have our big sunspot here, Earth facing, in our magnetic connection zone. We have our next sunspot to watch is 3245, and it is just expanded exponentially overnight. 3240 has faded away. 3241 is just sort of sitting there, but these two are going to town. And let's jump down and look at that. Since last night, 3242 has spread apart. This is growing, and it's going to pop up with more sunspots. And the sunspots are going to get bigger and they're going to change shape. And I think it's just that we're in a process where it's entered the magnetic connection zone between Earth and the sun. And it's like putting a lid on the pot. You put the pot on the stove, you're waiting for it to boil. You want it to boil faster, you put the lid on the stove. So you put it in the magnetic connection zone. And as it transitions through the magnetic zone, it's starting to boil underneath. It's growing, it's boiling underneath the surface of the sunspot. Not out where you can see it, it's underneath. And it's going to start expanding and growing. It has increased the probability that it's going to do something to a 70 and a 40, which is really, really good. That means I'm predicting as it gets about 2 days, as it gets transition to the just at the cusp of moving out of Earth facing, it's going to start going crazy and it's going to start producing more activity. And as it gets around the outgoing limb, that's when it's going to really go to town and it's really going to start exploding. And we're going to shoot down here. We're going to look at this one. This is rapidly changing, and I do mean rapidly. Even in the last hour, it has changed shape. This is a Beta Gamma formation. What does Beta Gamma mean? Beta Gamma means that the positive and the negative polarities are so tightly wrapped and interwoven together that you cannot find a defining line between them. So you can't draw a line and say this is positive, that is negative. They're wrapped in between each other, which makes it probable that your loops of your umbra can wrap together and produce a CME easier. We are up to a 60% chance of a C. It has produced 2 C-class flares and a 15% chance at an M-class flare. I do think this will continue to develop. Now, our next region to watch is 4246. I think this is not the big storyteller. I think the storyteller is behind this one, just out of Earth space, or just out of view, because there's an awful lot of activity going around the limb that is just out of sight. And the same way down here. I think this is not a bad setup on 3247. I think they will name this one 3248. But there is another sunspot formation behind this that is even bigger that we can't see yet. These are at 20% chance of popping off. That's not a bad probability. And I think they will develop as it draws in closer to that magnetic pull. It will make it develop a little bit. And then it'll put the lid on the pot, let it boil. And as it moves out of that magnetic connection, then it'll let it boil over. Okay. When should you be out? You should be out at dark tonight. We have clear skies. We are predicted to have at least a 3. If you are above the 41st, about about the 45th parallel, 44th parallel, you should be able to see the northern lights tonight. So Frankfurt, Traverse City, Bay City, maybe, Green Bay, all those places north. Draw a line across the map across those places. You should be able to go north and see the northern lights. They are not going to be out of the box spectacular. I'm sorry, they just won't. Now, tomorrow at dark, it looks like one of the flares or one of the M-class, C-class CMEs are going to hit, and it's going to hit right about dark. So you want to be sitting there at dark, find the clearest spot you can find. It's supposed to be partly clear tomorrow night. Find the clearest spot you can find, and you want to be sitting there at dark tomorrow night. And you want to wait at least until about 11 o'clock or so. So, but that's your time frame. Dark till about 11, 12 o'clock is going to be your go time tomorrow night, Eastern time. Always remember that all aurora forecasts, unless otherwise stated, are done in UTC time. So if we haven't sprung forward on our clocks, we subtract 5 hours. If we've sprung forward and we're on not daylight savings time, then we have 4 hours. So in the summertime, we subtract 4 hours. In the wintertime, we subtract 5 hours. So you always have to remember it's UTC, Universal Standard Time. For the newbies that are out there and doesn't understand that. Going down here, looking at our LASCO, I don't foresee this going on later this week right now. There's just not enough density to the stuff out there and enough of a push without the corona hole being there. The stuff is scattered and it's not very strong. Looks like here at the end we do have, whoops, looks like we just started having something take off here. Just had something rip off the north. Probably right off 3242. Something went to the north. So we got something coming to the north. Let's go see what it was. Let's go latest CME. All right. Latest CME. They don't even have it up here yet. Wasn't a CME, so it's got to be a flare. And they don't really even have that being very big. I don't think they have that up there yet. Well, that's got to be it, but that's only a C class. That's not very big. Unless they haven't updated this, compares to what they have on LASCO on the other one. Looking forward, I'm going to remind you we have a good forecast for the rest of the month. I do not think we have gotten our big storm yet. I think that is still pending. We will have windows in between the bad weather that we might get something, and we just got to pray we'll get clear skies at the right time, and everybody better be praying because we have a lot of stormy weather coming in. I think what happened at the end of last month is going to hit us again. We just need to back it up 3 days. So whatever days it hit last week, subtract 3 days. It should be back around this next month. For newbies that did not hear the forecast yesterday, corona holes are what we base our 27-day forecast on, and corona holes are predictable. They are weak spots or thin spots in the surface of the sun that allow solar wind that carries particles to pass through that weak spot in the surface of the sun. They don't collapse they're very slow. They tend to last for months at a time, and they're very predictable. Sunspots are not predictable. They can pop off, and we can have them hit Earth in as little as 8 minutes. A big storm can hit Earth in 8 minutes. That's how much warning we'll have between the time it pops off and the time it's here. Or it can take as many as 36 hours if it's a slow-moving flare. Sunspots can happen at any time. We can have a sunspot. It looks like it's doing nothing. Come back an hour later, and that thing could have boiled up all of a sudden out of nowhere and gotten an electrical charge, and it pops off with a big CME, and we have an impending storm. You just never know. This month is the month you want to be watching. You can put your favorite pages, your weather prediction pages, on your phone. You do a search and then just save it to your home screen. Or you can use Aurora Alert, which is what I use. It's Aurora Alert that lets me know that weather is there. Now, newbies, this is what you're looking for. I don't walk out the door till I see this. See how this flips back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and back and forth, and then there's a little clear spot, and then it settles into this really strong, steady pattern. That tells you that the Earth took a sudden magnetic load, that our magnetosphere is taking pressure magnetically. That's when you know the auroras are there. That's my go point. I can have a prediction saying they could happen tonight, but if I'm not seeing that, I don't go. Now, our West Now is predicting we're going to be a good probability. Now, this is not bad. This is 500, and that's pretty good wind speed. That is the point that you might start seeing some reds. You're going to definitely see some pinks and purples. Then we're going to get a sudden spike, and that sudden spike is going to come right about dark tomorrow night. Between 8 and 9 o'clock tomorrow night, that's going to hit. It's going to be a sudden spike, and it's probably because we've got a solid M-class or C-class flare that's going to hit us, and it's going to be one and done. It's going to be there for a couple of hours, maybe an hour, and it's going to be gone. And then it's going to dissipate and slide back down to nothing. So you want to be out there. You want to be prepared for the next couple of nights. You start at dark, and you're out there until you get tired, or tomorrow night, probably by 1 o'clock, you're done. All right, looking at our weather, we do have a change in weather systems coming. We have this weather pattern that is sitting out over the plains. On March 8th, this is going to start marching over Minnesota, headed toward Wisconsin. We have this big river of moisture that's going to come up over the Rockies. We're going to get a lot of snowfall in the Rockies this weekend. Or later this week, we're predicted to get just a huge amount of snow and blizzard conditions in the Rockies. This is going to combine in, and then this is going to march across the Great Lakes over this weekend. But you can see here, we've got this funny little bumpy ridge pattern. This is going to start developing. This high system is going to start just bringing a ridge right down over Michigan, or over the U.S. And it's going to start drawing in cold air from Canada next week, and it's just going to drop the temperatures everywhere, almost everywhere, except for right down here in the very lower part of Texas and maybe New Mexico, is going to be colder than normal for the rest of the month. Plan on it. We all know we have to have when Winter be stubborn, and we got to let him have his last party before he leaves. But the good news is I actually saw a willow tree in full bud. That means old man Winter is not going to be here very long, because his time is up. The trees don't lie. When they start budding, spring is a sneeze away. Okay, let's start looking. Let's close today out with our view of our sun. This is 3242 right here. You can see he's really still active. This region right here is still just bubbling. And I'm going to guess, we want to watch here right at the end, one of these spots, right there it was, right there. We had a CME right there. There's our burst that went to the upwards. It burst up and it pushed up and away from us. So I don't know if we'll get a real direct hit off that, but it's there. There is our big burst that I saw. But we have this nice big connection down here. This is, I think, going to get really active through here. As this grows in intensity, as that grows in intensity, I think this is just going to rock and roll. But here's the story I really want you to look at. Here's that sunspot, but we got something back here, and you can just see the tornadoes bubbling off here on the horizon behind that sunspot. There is something just over the horizon. And then we have this umbra right here that indicates that there's another set of sunspots right in here. You can see it. They're shooting up over here, and they're quite large. And then we have this sunspot region that's numbered. And there's that one that's trailing behind it, but there's something back here. It's sitting back here beyond where we can see. Let me get it all the way around here where we can maybe get a glimpse. Let me just see. Yeah. Oh, no, that pop... we may get something off that. That pop moved kind of in the same direction. There was a pop there too. Now you can see we got a lot of activity here. Here's the one sunspot that's numbered, that's just coming into view. But this is all connected. It's really bright back here. I'm not sure this is all just this one sunspot. We've got a lot of, you got tornadoes up here. You've got ropes lifting off here. I think we've got more activity coming next week. That will be earth facing next week. That's going to be interesting. And we'll just have to see if there's a corona hole tucked back in there as well. But we've got a lot of activity here, and these are really reaching out there. These are big loops that they can't even keep on the disc here, the disc picture. So this is going to be active. So there's what we have coming. Get out there tonight and tomorrow. Take advantage of your clear skies. I'm sorry, Minnesota. Usually you're clear and we're not. It's our turn over here in Michigan. Anyway, get out there, enjoy it. Make sure you're reaching out, those of you that are old timers, posting your pictures. Make sure you're there to answer questions. and help out newbies. If you catch somebody that's new, you know, make sure you're reaching out, making a friend. This is a community that's supposed to be supportive, and we're supposed to be making new friends and that we can travel with, that we can hang out with, that we can mentor each other. Also, make sure you're liking and subscribing to our YouTube videos, because that monetization is important. It is what is going to move us forward and make it able for me to hire the people I need to do the projects that I cannot do by myself. So I will leave you with that.